Hello, everybody, and welcome to the third episode of Whole New World. I am your game master for this evening. For those of you all who are new to the series of A Whole New World, what are you doing? Go back. We have two other episodes way before this. A Whole New World. This is a fun little creative project, birthed from the mind of Purna, my dear friend, and it is a creative venture where we take incredible marginalized creators, ask them to join us in building a brand new world, and then build games and mechanics for said world, and now taking all the stuff that we've built before in our world building stream and our game building stream to this episode, which is the actual play stream. So to note for everybody, this will be the first time we'll be playing this game. But before I get into all of that, let me introduce myself. I'm Valiant Dorian. I use he, him as pronouns. You can find me all around the internet at Valiant Dorian or at Otso SpiritBear. Please enjoy that lovely treasure I had to set you on. Tonight I'm your game master. And with that, I would love to show introductions over to my incredible players for this evening. Starting with Faris, please introduce yourself, who you are, and what are you playing tonight?
Hello, my name is Ferris. I use she, her pronouns. You can find me at Dragon Catpaw on Twitter and with Goblins and Gays. I am playing the Doctor today.
Very fun. Amir, please, who are you? Where can folks find you? Who are you playing today?
All right, so I am Amir. I also go by Netta Interchangeable, and my pronouns are they, them. You can mostly find me on Twitter at trans underscore father of a dog. Not that complex, but my projects aren't fully out yet. I don't have much to promo. I will just be playing the cook.
Amazing. And finally, last but not least, Steven. Introduce yourself, who you are, where they can find you, and who you playing this evening.
Hello, hi, I'm Steve, also known as Sassy Pants. My pronouns are he, him. Uh, I run Passes Tables, which is a ttrpg studio dedicated to shining a spotlight on underrepresented Asian talent. We've got a big charity event coming up end of September. I think I'm not sure when this is going to come out, but we've got like a big 48-hour charity stream that I'm working on to support Starlight. It's also going to be 1 year since we launched officially as like a thing. So that's like a big deal. Very proud of all of that. I'm going to be playing Sydney the Gunner. That's who I'm playing. Yeah.
Please go and send some love over to Paso Stables and help out with the charity stream. You've been sent by me to do that. And with that, let's talk about the game for tonight, folks. So everyone has spoken about essentially the characters that they'll be playing. We'll be playing a game that is, as of now, to title later to be fully determined, as the People's Warcry, designed by myself and Kat in our previous episode. It is a game where you play as the pirates aboard the vessel known as the People's Warcry on this, oceanic planet filled with several archipelagos. You play specific roles of folks that are aboard the um, the ship proper, and so a lot of your characters are composed of skills that they're good at, a little bit of personality thrown in, as well as your animal companions that will aid our little adventurers here on their quest as sailors aboard the People's Warcry. This is a D6 system where folks will be rolling D6s communally, and we're hoping to showcase that in the best way possible. Alrighty, folks. Before we get started, some content warnings before we venture into our new journey on board the People's Warcry. The content warnings for this session include fantasy violence, descriptions of vast open water, descriptions of ocean and water in general, references to piracy, as well as references to undead. Um, don't worry about that, my players. And with that, let us begin. You all find yourselves on yet another beautiful morning aboard the tropical planet you all call home, aboard a vessel that you also call home, the People's Warcry. The sun is shining above you, the noonday sun, and for the keen eyed, you see the reflections of the three moons coalescing near one another behind some of the clouds in the sky, shining in their very luminescent colors. And as you all hear the annoying, perhaps beautiful, perhaps cawing and squawks of the gulls around you, the push and pull of the ocean beneath your vessel, we will now pull in on one of our members here. We will start with our doctor. I would love to ask you, Doctor, where are you aboard this ship? Who are you? What do you look like? And what are you doing?
Yes. So the doctor is hanging out in her cabin, which is like the med bay situation.
Mhm.
Her name is Dr. Henry Astra. She uses she, her pronouns, and she is a middle aged, getting up there woman with just a very like put together, stern demeanor, like
Mm.
always is wearing very properly aligned clothing, um, always in like a white shirt with a red vest, which she has decided is like the doctor's uniform. It's not, it just is for her. Hair up in like a messy, like Gibson style bun,
Mhm.
and just always seems very, um, very focused at all times. The only like eccentricity about her physical appearance is that she just wears like one single earring, and then her little quarters are very similar. They're very neat. They're very put together. Everything is in its place, and then there just be little odd like charms just scattered about in little hidden spots. Like there'll be a tiny little ceramic duck just sort of tucked amongst the gauze, or a little moon charm here and there. You wouldn't notice it. You'd have to go looking for it. And I think
Oh,
what she is doing is taking inventory of all of the
mm,
medical supplies on hand to make sure that her stocks are perfect.
a well put together person in an essential role aboard the People's War Cry. Henry, as you are taking inventory, you are not alone. Skittering near you is this a medium sized, no bigger for audiences at home, no bigger than maybe a medium sized dog. Is a Komodo dragon like creature. It has these bright scales of gold and green that kind of like move about, and this almost spiral like formation around it, creating almost like a staircase of patterns around its body. It also has this long twisting tail and uses this twisting tail to, I think for fun, hang around on top of like a skeleton model that you have. It's just wrapped its tail around the neck and shoulders of your little anatomy model and tilts its head at you as you are taking inventory. And it doesn't make a noise or squawk or anything, but just maybe whistles out that little tongue and curiously at you as you are taking inventory.
I think she like whistles at the dragon, who I am going to name right this moment Pip.
Oh,
Uh,
Hip looks at you with big eyes.
yeah, and yeah, just whistles. I think she doesn't usually speak to the Komodo dragon. I think they communicate through like whistling at each other, which seems really opaque to everyone else who probably do speak to their little companions. But this is just how it works for them. There's just a tiny little smidge of oddball to her at all times.
I love that. As you're taking inventory and communicating with Pip, Pip, I think at your whistle, just kind of like very slowly, perhaps a little reluctantly, sloss off the little anatomy model, lest it break beneath its weight. And as it begins to kind of like saddle on up toward you, a voice rings out across all of the speakers. This basically a little bell horn that hangs in the corner of every cabin aboard the People's War Cry. A direct order being issued by the first officer, who just very clearly yells out in her loud, matter of fact, stern voice, where she says, "All hands to stations! All hands to stations!" Which is a command that you would be familiar with to come aboard deck to meet. And with that, we pull away from Henry and onto another area of the ship. Steve, who are you? What do you look like? And where are you on the ship? And what are you doing?
Okay, so Sydney is a young, like I would say early 20s young, big buff dude. Like if you look at him, if you close your eyes, you think of this fucking guy. That is the exact vision of what Sydney is. He's been up since 4 a.m. doing squats, push-ups, pull-ups, just working out his hardest. He's wearing a shirt that is 2 sizes too tight, that shows off his every single inch of his biceps. And at this point, he's currently in the middle of like his 400th squat or something. When the buzzer goes off, he's wearing like a black skin tight shirt with skinny jeans, which is definitely not uniform that you're supposed to wear on a ship. But at this point, he doesn't really care. It's more about how good do I look versus how functional is it. He's got he wears an eye patch. Whether or not he needs it is a completely different story, but he has an eye patch on, and he's wearing these tight combat boots, which one would think would not be a good fit to work out in, but it looks cool. So how does it matter? And sure, it might hurt him in the evenings when he has to apply whatever medicine on his ankles so they don't hurt. But in the moment right now, he looks fantastic, and that's what's important, baby. And so yeah, that is Sydney.
Go ahead.
Yeah, to his side, lounging in the sun-ish light, is a medium-ish sized penguin, white and black, with the beak out, and it's ignoring, like eyes closed, just sunbathing while the complete opposite of his human companion, where Sydney is like completely very active, very matter of fact, and Kowalski is just not that at all. He's got a little bit of a belly. He likes to just vibe, and Kowalski is a and he's also a little far away from home, being that it's not ice cold here. So for now, it's and the minute like the sun shifts and you see slight bit of extra shade move over, you see him slightly roll over and scoot over so that he is in the sun, despite the fact that it's really hot. Yeah.
I love Kowalski with my life. Love a little rotund guy. Yes, your companion is just very content to lounge about in the sun, allowing the rays to dapple upon them, rather than engaging with the multitudes of exercise routines that you have planned out for yourself. And as you say, the little buzzer goes off, and you hear your command from the first officer to head upon deck to meet with the rest of the crew as well as your captain. Um, and you very easily do so. And we will emerge out of the scene and pan over to the cook's whereabouts. Amir, tell us, who are you? What do you look like? Where you are? What are you doing? What are you doing this fine morning? Well, sorry, noon. This fine noon.
This noon where orders were already uh disseminated, right? Like
Yeah,
we've all
I
heard
would
this.
say so. You're wrapping up like the lunch rush. Yeah.
Yeah. So that what he was interrupted from doing was essentially just cleaning the last of the cookware, because everyone knows that doing the dishes takes equal, if not more, time than
Oh yeah.
actual cooking. So uh, his name is De Niro. He is uh, of a medium brown skin, but everything below the neck is entirely covered by tattoos, so much that you don't actually, it's actually unclear what color his skin is if you're not looking at his
Mm.
head. He, when not in a net, obviously, he has very just long brown, dark brown hair, like down to the butt, which it's hard to tell how he keeps it in a hairnet. But he never tells his secrets. He was mostly like putting putting things away. Lunch rush is never something that stresses him out, and he probably a little more stealthily, like slinking up to the deck with a certain amount of hesitance, is very much just adorned by a kitten on his shoulder. What looks like a big kitten, people in the world know that ice lynxes don't grow to a particularly large size, but this just looks like a somewhat fat kitten that is on his shoulder, that is like so brilliantly black that it's blue, like dark blue, with the shine in its coat. It's a very well maintained coat, and a very spoiled cat, as a cook's animal is typically, uh, fed the secret best food on the ship. And the eyes in particular are very icy and looking everywhere that De Niro looks. So even when it's like not well lit in the floors below the deck, the eyes sort of like pierce like headlights in front of De Niro, uh, which helps him see in a way. So he
Mm.
uh, uh, mostly just gets up to the deck, no mess, no fuss.
Mm. Absolutely. All of you. I mean, the people's war cry. Yes, it's a job. Yes, it's a calling. But for the most part, the people's war cry is a family. And you all know this. And family has its quirks, family has its routine, but also the family as a system works. You are all a well-oiled machine with all of your eccentricities and talents together. And as you are all gathering upon the deck of the People's War Cry, you are immediately met because all of you were below deck from your descriptions. You are immediately met with the sea breeze taking over your senses for a moment. The skies are as gorgeous as ever. You can see almost far on the horizon some of the other archipelagos. Off to the southeast, you see a moving city, a large, like I mentioned, a city-wide structure, all placed aboard boats that are moving and traversing across the horizon before you in the southeast. Um, not too close where y'all have to be concerned, being pirates, but still noticeable enough to most of y'all as you are keen-eyed aboard these oceans. You are met immediately by a very, very short. I must insist that everyone understands a very, very short. I'm talking 4'9" short first officer. She is fierce, she is volatile. Her name is Sati. Um, and she gives and takes no shit, and you all know this. Holding themselves to the highest responsibility here on People's Warcry. And as you are all getting comfortable, whether it's leaning against the posts or the sides of the ship, or just standing up straight, looking towards the first officer, she goes, "Alrighty, y'all. We have work to do today. As you know, we have been hunting the Kismet Wheel. And as you all know, that has been something you've been hunting for. An old rumor on a seaport many, many ports ago. Your captain, as well as the quartermaster, heard of this ancient artifact that's holed up in an island somewhere known as the Kismet Wheel. There are stories, there are tales that speak of this artifact, that it was it's a typical like seafarer's tale, right? It was made by somebody with lots of money and lots of influence to do something to augment the like natural magics and energies of this world in some sort of way, in a navigational way, is the most that y'all know about it. And it is said to be beautiful. And beautiful means valuable and fetching a high price. And that has been something that you've been hunting the past few weeks. And the first officer gestures to all of you. Well, we're coming up towards the last stretch here of our voyage. We are looking to hopefully within the day be within the approximate location of this island, and that we're assuming, if not perhaps an abandoned ruin sea city. And we should have a whole day of just traversing some land and looking for the items that we need, and hopefully finding more than just the Kismet Wheel. And I think she turns around, and you see your captain, who is this very young man, with a head of really thick curly hair, a very, very light, messy stubble, wearing his pirate hat, wearing the captain's hat, seems to be sat over a table with a compass, some maps, as well as a handful of gems. A handful of not just gems, also just random stones. Um, a little thing that your captain always carries with him to take a look and observe under a little glass. And the first officer stares at him for a moment. He seems to still be distracted by a rock. And then the first officer goes, "Captain." And the captain finally perks up. "Oh, right. Yeah. Um, yeah, as Sati said, we are pretty close to the end of this search of this voyage. And so far, all of our navigations have not, as you all know, have not been troublesome, other than the occasional, storm. Um, so we're expecting a smooth voyage towards the island today. Honestly, the biggest snag here is weather, and hopefully being able to find the location of this island, because when this was made, when we spoke of this place, through the rumors and through the map and such, Um, it's a long time ago, right, when the Kismet wheel was made. So we don't even know if this place is what it looks like. Once we do locate it and find it, we can do a scouting, assess the dangers, and do what we do best, and that's protect each other. All right. With that, do any of you have any questions before we go anchors up and through the next set of the voyage? And the captain looks expectantly at the rest of the crew. In this moment, friends, do y'all have any questions for the captain? Do you have any thoughts about this journey that you're about to take on? You're on the last leg. You're almost there towards the site of this treasure.
We can't be the only people after this, right?
Do you ask that out loud?
Yeah.
Mhm. The captain nods and says, I think that's a safe assumption. I mean, we did hear this over the port several weeks back. We heard it as a rumor. We might come up against rival pirates, sailors, who might want to snag the Kismet wheel for themselves. And with that, we're going to do what we always do. Immediately interrupted by the first officer as she hops onto the like a little chair right by the table and says, we will get there first, and if they stop us, we will make them regret that they ever set their blades and sights against the crew of the People's Warcry, she says fierily.
Okay, I appreciate the enthusiasm. What I meant was, I agree. We will, we'll be the first ones there, and we'll take care of whatever is needed. All right, that's fine. I will make sure that I have enough cannons ready. That's yeah, we're fine.
Off to the right of you, Sydney, is your rival and companion aboard the People's Warcry, the Harpooner. Jacob, the Harpooner. They are a really odd soul on the People's Warcry. They have a single gem-like eye that sparkles within the sunlight, and they tend to just whisper odd things at random. And today is no exception, as the harpooner, as Jacob looks at you and says, our sights will find whatever they need to find. And that's it. That's all Jacob leaves you with. The other two. Do you have any questions for the captain or reactions to this last leg of the journey?
Not particularly. I think Henry's only thought comes in response to the first mate, but she doesn't voice it. But it's just, please don't make more work for me.
Please do not get injured before we even disembark from this location.
Yes.
Fair and valid. Absolutely. What about you, dear cook?
I think De Niro did not necessarily tune out, but has a general air of overconfidence that is so prevalent that he tries to leave early. Go back down.
Yep. That's fair and valid. With that, seeing that everyone seems to be on the same page, the captain once again is just kind of like, all right, I think we can declare the meeting is immediately interrupted again by the first officer. Meeting is dismissed. Everyone to your stations. We disembark. Anchors up.
I think as Henry goes to go back downstairs, she's going to loop past the captain and then just drop a neat little rock into his pile
Ooh.
and then keep going.
Thank you, Henry. Picks up the little
Mm.
glass and takes a look already at the like interesting veins that exist upon this particular geological specimen. And the captain is extremely pleased. Um, with that, my friends, the anchors are lifted up, the sails are unfurled, the wind greets you, and commands are being issued all over the ship to get the people's war cry moving on the last leg of your journey. And we come, I think, to our first ever check. So, for the folks at home, the way this system is designed, this is a D6 system rolled communally. So, when a scene occurs, each player will roll 2d6s and describe to me what they're doing to help achieve the aims of the group here. Uh, and what they're looking for is the result that best suits the alignments of their particular animal companions. So, the first question I'm going to ask you all before I make you roll is on this last leg of the journey, as we're beginning to move towards this island, ruin, whatever this looks like, um, what are each of you doing to help the people's war cry on its final leg of this journey? Let's start with our gunner. Sydney, what are you doing?
I think Sydney is uh, basically checking all of the cannons, making sure they're all fully loaded. The artillery, I can't say that word. The weapons and all the other things, making sure that they're all prepared in case something happens. Sydney is not the paranoid sort, but since this is like a high stakes mission and it's possible that we might be followed or maybe another pirate ship gets there at the same time, it's always better to be safe than sorry. So yeah, and maybe once in a while Kowalski is running around with like this giant cannon in his hands and he's waddling towards Sydney with the cannon holding the cannonball, just like to help out as much as he can. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Because, and one of the things that's an aspect of this game is the fact that y'all have knacks. And if you are working within your knacks, that is an automatic success in this kind of like extended scene and encounter that we're going to be dealing with. So it sounds like you'll be operating and dealing with heavy machinery, dear Gunner. So that would be, in my eyes, an automatic success as you are checking the cannons and the guns, ensuring that everything is shipshape ready for a potential encounter out in sea, especially on potential seafaring rivals for aiming to set their sights on this treasure as well. Absolutely, you could do that. But what about you, dear cook? What are you doing in order to keep um, the people's war cry sorted in this next leg of their journey?
Well, I don't think cooking is something that's necessarily the highest priority right now, since we just talked about this being after lunch. So I think actually what he ends up doing is taking from his pretty elaborate knife maintenance set. He probably goes up to help with the quartermaster, mostly in sharpening short range weapons, and also as people come around, get their like personal short range weapons sharpened, because he has the works mostly for show. He has like the whetstone. He has like the knife block, the cylinder that makes the nice, like metallic.
Yeah.
Scrape is probably like the thing that is the constant sound. And occasionally the cat, which I specifically didn't give a name because it's apparent that the cat responds to whatever food-related name it most feels like it vibes with, which is a lot of food-related names. Pumpkin is a common one.
Mm, very
As
valid.
the cat, the cat's going on levels of gender that we've yet to experience. I think in this particular world, and that's so cool.
Absolutely.
De Niro doesn't understand it, but he respects it. Um, the cat's also occasionally like treating weapons as like little toys, but surprisingly leaving them very sharp with like a cold edge to them. Surprisingly.
Mm. I love that. I would rule that that is within your purview of oh sweet boy, within your purview of making more from less, using your own materials to ensure that everyone else's works. We come now finally to Henry, our doctor. Dear doctor, what are you doing to help things out over here?
You might expect her to be in the doctor's quarters, continuing what she was
Mm-hmm.
doing, but I think every time the ship sets off, what she actually does is roam the ship
I see.
with
Yeah.
this, like, kind of like like she's not paying attention to things, like just kind of wandering around. And anytime she spots or almost senses someone about to like pinch a finger or worse, just kind of pushes them out of that little thing and keeps
Mm.
walking to prevent injuries for the moment.
I would rule that that counts under your knack. Don't flinch. You are a stabilizing presence here on the People's Warcry, and you all, as you begin to set off, are doing your part amidst all of this, and are succeeding in the roles that you are doing. So, congratulations on the first set of this journey. As you all go about your duties, um, walking about, ensuring weapons are sharpened, ensuring the working order of all of the cannons aboard the ship. I think the two people that will notice this, just based on the narrative that we set up here, is Henry and Sydney. Henry and Sydney. Henry, you notice because you are aboard the main deck. You're able to see things. You notice and smell a change in the air. And your little companion Pip has settled on up close to you, wrapping themselves around your shoulder and draping downwards like a cloak. Peeks upwards, smelling the air with its tongue. And you know that smell. The smell of rain. The coming of a storm that shall make your journey difficult. Sydney, what do you notice? Being ever vigilant to the fact that you have rivals. You see a glint in the ocean, not too far away from you, and I think that inspires you to take a look aboard these um, kind of like propped up set of binoculars that exist around this. Like there's two on either side of the ship for others who are not the captain to be able to look ahead if needed. And when you take a look through that glass, your fears begin to manifest as you see another pirate crew. You see their colors, the flags, um, adorning the mast of their ship. Clearly, another pirate group, and you see them making their way in a similar direction as you. And initially, you think perhaps subtlety is the move, and then you see the stern move. And you see the bow tilt and move, tilting its way sideways as if aiming to block your advance. What do you do?
Captain, uh, uh, there's a bunch of shitheads up ahead.
Captain, your captain hears this, unfurls their little spyglass, looks forward. Ah, you're right. There's a bunch of shitheads. All right,
Storm
folks.
2.
You see, the quartermaster finally emerges from behind the navigational pod behind all of you. And your quartermaster is this font of it. Like, this person is built like a bulwark. They ooze stability. You don't think the strongest winds could ever push them. They march on the deck with their boots. They're bald and have a very well groomed mustache, um, and wear this kind of like very lithe clothing. This armband that goes up to their elbows, a crop top, and a very like functional and practical pair of trousers that are tucked into combat boots. They've got tattoos along their upper arms, and a scar across their cheek down to their chin, um, from what you assume from an old fight years and years ago. And your quartermaster, who goes by the name of Devon, they look at the folks ahead, at these shitheads, and hear you mention the storm, um, and begin issuing commands already and taking charge. Righty, folks, let's get a handle on those sails. Lifelines, we need lifelines tied. And looks over towards the captain. We await your orders, Captain. Shall we engage or not engage? The captain looks to the three of you, to everyone on the crew, but to the three of you, what do your eyes say when the captain looks on whether to engage or not?
I think Henry gives the captain a familiar look because I think she's known the captain a very long time. You said the captain's very young.
Young, like I will say, like late 20s.
Yeah. I think she's probably been there for almost like she's seen him in diapers kind of thing.
Yeah.
She's known him a very long time. And I don't know, maybe she's his aunt. Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, that.
Uh,
Hell yeah. You can do whatever you want with these characters. They have personalities, but you can delve deeper into their backstories.
Auntie Henry.
Auntie Henry, we love it. We stand.
Yeah, and just gives a look of like we could get cover instead from the storm.
What are the other two? What do your eyes betray?
So for Sydney, the minute he smelled the rain, immediately started bouncing on the balls of his feet. He's like, get like, it's like, like a dog looking for a bone. He's just immediately gone into hyperactive mode, and he's like, okay, we can do this. It's fine. It's okay. Everything's okay. It's just a bunch of people who we need to fight. Cannons are ready. My artillery is all ready. We've got weapons. Everything's good. And he's just bouncing around excitedly. Like at this point, it's like, if it comes down to a fight, I will fight. But I don't really want to, per se. It's a Sydney, despite his demeanor and everything, he's not a fighter. He's more of a pacifist. But if it push comes to shove, he will be the first one to shoot. It's like that. So but like he will defend his crew, but he will not initiate hostilities in that sense, if that makes sense. Yeah, he will be the first one to shoot, but he will not engage. But he will not initiate hostility, if that makes sense. At like how Han shot first, but no, he didn't. But of course he did. Basically that.
Perfect. That makes a lot of sense, and I think the captain meets your gaze and finally rests on you, De Niro. What do your eyes betray?
I think De Niro is a very good nonverbal communicator. And it's not raining yet. The floorboards are very much dry, and everyone is very much steady, but De Niro's eyes are unfocused. But it is the cat that mostly fixes its gaze. I should say the cat is good at nonverbal communication. That makes way more sense.
Mm.
Uh, the cat fixes their gaze at the captain with a very noticeable nod of the head. Like that is a trick that it was obviously taught, but it's very much acting of its own intention.
Mm. And the captain issues his order. We will take cover in the storm. But Sydney, and then looks over to our dear harpooner, whose name has just vanished from my head, even though I
Jacob.
just named it. I was like, it's a pretty basic name. How did you forget? Jacob. There we go. Jacob the harpooner. He looks over to the both of you, Sydney, Jacob. I want both of your weapons trained on our enemies. If they so enter our space, fire away. In fact, should you find an opportunity to turn them elsewhere, take it. And as he marches up and down the people's war cry, you have your orders. Stand firm, brave the storm, and we'll come out victorious. Let's go, people's war cry. And everyone begins to march to their stations and do what they need to do. And we'll now actually do some rolling because your next can only get you so far, but I believe this is what I would call an extended sequence. We're going to be covering your entire approach for this entirety of the people's war cry entering the storm. And you see this dark clouds begin to coalesce around you. The winds begin to pick up. It is rattling the pieces of wood and cloth that exists upon your main deck. The cold water is now splashing on the folks unfortunate enough to be close to the sides of the ship. And as the first specks of water begin to fall on and rain upon you, it is a promise, it is a threat of a greater storm to come. And you see off to almost like the eastern side, tilting its way towards blocking your ship. The rivals are also entering the storm, and you see lights begin to flick on their ship. With that, let's start with our doctor. Doctor, what are you doing aboard the ship in this extended sequence? And once I hear what everyone's doing, we'll roll communally to see what we're doing. Feel free to also, so in terms of so for folks at home, we're looking not only for the successes for the animal companions and their alignment. There are also things called abilities and triggers. So there are specific abilities that you intend to use now. You can tell me now, or you can wait to see what the dice say to trigger certain abilities of your your fun little animals. And you can also use specific triggers to add more dice to the pool so that folks have a greater chance of success in navigating this the way that you intend. So let's start with the doctor. What do you want to do here in this moment in navigating through the entirety of the storm and sidling past your rivals?
I think Henry wants to be ready for any injuries that may occur from if a rope breaks free and slashes at someone or whatever, bumps or bruises, hopefully not worse. And can only prevent so much because there's so much going on at once, and she is one person with one Komodo dragon. And so I think is keeping medical supplies on hand, like a little bag for the minor
Mhm.
injuries, and is just trying to be where it looks the worst, so that she's ready the moment something happens, or even preventing it if possible.
Okay. Um, I will not add a trigger quite yet because I will, unless you are going to let me know that there's something specifically important that you're trying to protect, which is your little Komodo dragon's trigger. Um, then you can add a die to the pool.
Not unless the captain's in danger.
I mean, you could say that you are keeping an eye out for the captain specifically in your rounds.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
You
my
have
nephew.
That's your nephew. You have 3d6 that you'll be rolling to the pool.
Okay.
We won't roll quite yet. Let's see what everyone else is doing. Sydney, what are you doing, Sydney? You got the guns. You got your orders. How are you approaching
The
this?
minute, so the minute the captain is like, "You have your orders," Sydney turns to Jacob. Yeah,
Jacob? Yeah.
yeah, and he's like, "I bet you I get more hits in than you do." And then they fist bump, because of course they do. And Sydney walks over to the one of the cannons, holds it steady, and it's aimed at an angle, making sure that it has the perfect trajectory to hit any of the if the ship enters their space, basically.
Mhm.
I don't. Yeah, I think that's what he's also distributed. What are they called? Weaponry to a couple of people as well. So there's like he passes one to the doctor in case like a short blade in case it's needed, and also gives one to De Niro. Uh, just in case, because I'm sure De Niro has knives too, but those are cooking knives, and they're not stabbing knives, so might not that different, but slight, it is important that his teammates
Yeah,
are
more
protected.
functional.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
yeah, basically pushes like this big barrel of cannonballs over to the cannon that he's guarding, and just ready to like uh, ensure that quick fire succession, boom 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 if needed. That's basically the plan. Yeah.
You fist bump the harpooner, and Jacob just says, "The wind whistles will herald my bolts," and then just goes and takes station. Um, like that's a normal thing to say to someone. And your your companion Kowalski, despite not being the most active, is staying stalwart at your side. You see them waddling penguinly over to you, and probably just like taking, because you brought some of the crates, has taken shelter amidst a little alcove that these crates stacked together have formed. Absolutely, you can do that. Finally, our dear cook De Niro, what are you doing in this moment? As we brave the storm.
Uh, I think it is safe to say he's staying above deck. He's probably going to stay uh, close to the mast. He has like basic comprehension on like handling ropes, and also with an understanding that the main mast anyway, needs to be protected. He's staying there with whoever else is
Mhm.
handling ropes from any of the masts up and down the ship. And his cat now specifically climbs up uh, like the sort of porous wood, because I will posit, just like as a world building thing
Absolutely.
that makes sense to me, that the
Absolutely.
animals that are able to be in the crow's nests should just have like a better vantage than the people constantly climbing up and down for safety
Mm,
reasons. I would
yeah.
imagine it would be way less stress on the doctor, even though technically people can climb wherever they want, and that's
Yeah.
not the biggest safety concern. But it's so much quicker for an animal to climb up and down. So that's my
I
like
love that.
suggestion.
Yeah, this ship would have accessible little like ways of climbing for like the specific animals. Probably like almost like a cat tree like pedestals to
Oh
help
yeah,
to help your links climb up. Absolutely. That sounds to me like you're setting your sights on a goal. Go ahead and add another d6 to your pool as part of your trigger. So,
All right.
in terms of rolling communally, we have Sydney. You'll be rolling 2d6. Both the rest will be rolling 3d6. So yeah, we shall see how everything pans out in terms of the rolls. Go ahead and roll me 3d6.
Ooh.
Oh, there's a face. Okay. Alrighty. So we have a communal pool. So we're going to read out what moons you've all rolled, just so that we can see how we can help each other in this moment. So we'll start with Sydney because you have the least dice at the moment, 2d6. What moons have you rolled?
I got a 6 and a 2, so I believe
Aha.
that is
One ocean and
Um,
one land.
yep.
Wonderful. So
And
you got one ocean, one land.
my penguin is land. I don't know if that helps here or not.
It does help. So you need one land to succeed. I believe. Let me double check before I lie to you. Yes, you need a land to succeed. So you have a potential success here. Let's see what everyone else rolls in case y'all want to negotiate in terms of successes and stuff. Let's go over to our dear cook. Dinero, what rolls do you have?
I rolled a 2 and a 4 and a 6.
A 2,
So
4, 6. So
that is
you
everything.
got. That's everything. Yeah. So you got ocean, ice, and land. Ocean, ice, and land. Wonderful. Perfect. Finally, Henry, what did you roll?
I also got ocean, moon, and land. So I got a 1, a 3, and a 6.
Hey, ocean, ice, and land. Alrighty, folks. This means you all have the ingredients for each of your successes here, because the penguin needs a land, the dragon needs also a land, and
Mhm.
our lynx needs an ice. So we have fulfilled all of that, which means we have a bunch of stuff left in the pool right now to be used. So, do any of y'all want to, as you all succeed, basically, you will take narrative focus and let me know how well you succeed on that. But before you do that, will you like to activate any of your abilities? You don't have to, but I would like to offer that option since you have plenty of opportunity here to do so. So for folks at home, while my players are deciding, there are abilities that these creatures can activate. So for example, the ice lynx, if they take one ice out of the pool, the lynx can fully disappear and turn invisible. If you use one ice and one ocean, they're able to pounce on an unsuspecting target. So those are some abilities that we can use. So yeah, do folks want to use their abilities at this point?
The lynx needs ice, right?
Yes, one ice to turn invisible.
I think I will use Pip's ability. Specifically the one that costs 2 dice, the one land and one ocean.
Okay.
To stop something that would hurt you.
Okay. Are you putting this on someone specific?
Does the you have to be me specifically, or can it be anyone?
It can be whoever you choose.
I'm gonna say the cook because De Niro is under the mast, which is also a kind of dangerous position because if anything falls down, you're right there.
Absolutely.
So I think at one point, Henry's like on the opposite side of the deck and just sees it and whistles, and Pip like parkours across the ship to knock a falling, I don't know, beam, ballast, ship thing.
Oh yeah,
ship thing.
Right
out of the way.
Probably comes loose in the storm as the wind picks up. Right, you are all caught unawares by the storm. You all succeed, by the way, in this first leg of the encounter, but like that, obviously things still happen where a mast falls down, you activate the ability, and the cook is protected by a falling sail that's not been furled correctly. Absolutely no worries there. Alrighty, Sydney and Dinero, do you want to activate either of your companion's abilities? We currently have back in the pool 2 oceans. Sorry, 2 oceans and an ice. Yeah, 2 oceans and an ice.
I don't think Kowalski can do anything with ice, so with ocean, sorry. So I'm not doing anything right now.
All right. Kowalski's just chilling, has decided that amidst your success and your ability to take aim and stalk over your rivals, everything is fine for now. Our dear cook, Dinero, what would you like to do with your links?
Well, I have so much freedom, I think, because
You do, because you need one ice and one ocean, and you do have an ice and an ocean, and you have an ice and you have an ocean, which are
I
dice that
do,
are dice that you have.
that are very integral. I think I will just go for using one ice to have the leaks just disappear. So after everyone has this initial sighting and we'll call him the meatball. The meatball right now is going up. The meatball has gone to the crow's nest, but I'm willing to like save that for reappearance, for not necessarily if someone is in danger, but if someone needs, or it could be if someone's in danger, but if someone needs like any of the wonderful feline abilities that could come with it, I think a reappearance, that's not something that I thought about more into, because disappearing works for like stealth.
Yeah.
And the real shock is the like surprise when it comes back. So
Oh yeah,
if you
sure.
could,
No
like,
worries.
to bank that, like I would love for an autonomous cat surprise.
An autonomous cat surprise. I can absolutely do that. All right.
Mm-hmm. De Niro's just
What?
chilling.
As you are chilling, you are buffeted by a storm. You are unfortunately being ambushed by a rival pirate ship. But you are the people's war cry, and you're able to maneuver past this effectively. You are able to take shelter in the fog and mist that's created by very violent torrential rain. So much so, and so successfully so, have you all navigated this, that as the ship peels forward to stop you, you are able to just move and hide between the clouds and the rain. And it is now currently adjacent and behind you, as you are moving across the ocean. And yes, the storms are buffeting all of you, but you are navigating it just fine. And then something happens. The storm picks up once more, violently, and you all feel the wood straining beneath you as you feel the waves begin to whack you on one side, tilting you over as you crest the waves and downward again. You hear the first officer yell out at all of you, "Secure your lifelines! Keep still and closer to the mast of the ship. We're in for a big one." And then you hear, because as we have established in the world building, the animals can just climb on things. Um, we hear from a from the top of the mast, the quartermaster's companion, which is a little jelly-like amoeba thing that begins moving, and it taps on a bell that's on the top of that mass, and the quartermaster immediately peels towards the starboard side and looks at something in the shadows of the storm. Everyone, come closer, come closer. Captain, do you see it? The captain picks up a spyglass, and there's a shadow amidst the rain and the ocean, and you all feel what feels like an arm or a tail. The length of your boat, the length of your ship, hit the ship from the stern, whacking you upwards, pushing you all in an upward trajectory, and you all landing, and then you see it. You see this long fin, almost like a whale's fin, that slammed and rested on top of your stern. And here's where I will activate a thing that De Niro has activated last time. Your creature emerges once more and has sunk their teeth immediately onto this fin, this creature that slammed onto the ship. And when an ice lynx bites you, I'm going to say as part of the lore, because it's an ice lynx, little shards of ice begin to frost and coalesce around the fin as it like hops back and like hisses at this creature. We're going to need another communal roll as you are sieged by a mysterious large marine animal that lies beneath the waves. What are you all doing amidst this crisis? Let's start with Sydney. You've got the gun.
Sydney is going to scream. Right. First, he's going to scream. And he's like,
I take my free action to scream.
yeah. It's just an unintelligible scream. And then he's like, holy shit, that's a fish monster. Does it have tentacles? And without even thinking, he's gonna fire.
Yes.
And I'm using my desperate action to fire.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, the way desperate actions work is if there are no dice at all in the pool. So what I will say, I will let you use your desperate action if you forgo your right to roll dice this turn.
But is that an auto success or what is that?
So yeah, as a desperate action, you fire. When you make one shot count, you do. You just won't be able to contribute your dice to the rest of the folks here. That is my homebrew ruling. That's not in the rules of this text because we didn't think that far ahead. I mean, so the benefits are you get to do what you get to do your desperate action. You do it.
But I can't help the others, right?
You won't be able to add. You won't be able to contribute the 2d6 that might help the other two. But they can still roll their 2d6.
Yeah, I think he's going to take it because there's a giant sea creature emerging from the water, and he has a cannon ready. So I think that is a shot that he will take.
Wonderful.
Immediately,
You take that shot. Describe to me how Sydney uses your desperate action fire when you make one shot count. You do. How and where do you pierce this creature? Do you pierce the fin somewhere beneath the waves? How do you do it?
So Sydney, firstly, I think he's gonna have to swivel the cannon around because it was aimed at the ship, not this creature, right? He's like, oh shit, oh no, and you hear this loud creaking noise as the cannon is not used to being aimed in this direction, but he's doing what he has to do right now, and then quickly tries to light it, but because it is raining, I'm guessing he can't get a light, and then from behind, Kowalski reaches over and covers the spot where he has to light it with like his paws, his fins, I guess, and then Sydney uses Kowalski. I'll give you extra fish if we survive this, and and quickly light the thing. Look around. And he's like, fire in the fish hole.
You hear the captain say, "Herd, launch!"
And before he even says launch, it's already gone, and it hits the thing. Square in like the spot where the links bit it, so like further down on the same arm, so that it's double impact and maybe crush some cause some more damage along the way. So it's basically like using the links as a what's the word, marker, but further down so it doesn't damage the links, because that's not the intention here. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
You make one shot count and you do it. You launch this cannonball straight into this creature's joint of the fin. It doesn't have bones. It has and you realize this as you launch this cannonball. It is mostly cartilage. As you see it bruise incredibly badly, and obviously shrapnel from the cannonball beginning to damage the skin and pierce it, as you hear an unearthly shriek from beneath the waves. The other two, it's time for the both of you to roll community, but tell me first what the other two are doing. You hear this. You hear your gunner launch that cannonball, and you hear that unearthly shriek from beneath the waves.
I personally have a terrible idea.
Wonderful. I'd love to hear it.
All right. Well, for starts, I will also be using my desperate action and foregoing rolling dice.
Okay.
So I think my bud's got it personally. My cat, look at him go. But I can read it out real quick.
Yes, you can.
I will not be doing any live singing because my voice is not awakened, unfortunately, for the audience. But it is a song from the old world, so I harness my knowledge of the old ways into a song, and everyone who can hear it learns something new about the situation.
Sure. Okay.
And the song itself is about fun fact about sperm whales. They sleep in their pods. They sleep vertically, like
they do.
like forests. I want to posit with the knowledge from this song that is largely percussive, like dirgy. It comes from like a rhythm of knife scraping that is all too common when it comes to just listening to the kitchen. Daenerys not much of a singer. They're shy. They're a shy guy, but they're very rhythmic in that way. It is like a chant song about the pods of these animals. These are not traditional whales, obviously, but they sleep in these pods. And if you were underwater, it would be easy to mistake them for like a cityscape, like something outside of this time period of like skyscrapers with no bottom, that you should not ever disturb. And the common sailing knowledge, I think, that is imparted, not necessarily about this fog in particular, but the danger of ever piercing the fog is to not go any deeper, or else there will be more of the same family.
I love that. I love us taking big swings with the desperate actions. Yep. And you do it. You unleash the song from the old world, and the crew are aware of the knowledge that you are imparted through this chant, through this song of the olden ways, ways that are beyond the society that is emerged now. We come finally, our doctor. Dear doctor, what are you doing?
Uh, yes. Has anyone been hurt yet, or is everyone still dodging disaster?
You know what? Let's see. I said I wasn't gonna roll, but I'm gonna roll now.
Why not?
Yes.
It's a playtest. Sometimes you gotta roll.
Sometimes I'll roll. Yes, someone is injured. It's the harpooner who is
Oh no.
whose main like bolt is stationed at the front. It's near the stern.
Mm-hmm.
Which is where the point of impact did. So not only did the was he knocked out of their little bolt machine, they're now crushed underneath the fin.
Oh yeah, totally gonna go help the harpooner out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So just
right.
gonna do that. Gonna charge towards the beast to save the harpooner.
Go ahead and roll 2d6 for me.
Sorry, I just scared my cat.
So you're fine.
Woo. We have a 6 and a 4.
Okay, I believe you succeed. Yes, because your land is 6.
The 2 dice I need.
Your 2 dice you need. Well done. So you got land and I believe ocean, ice.
Yeah.
Land and ice. All right. So you succeed because you have 1 dice that you need to succeed.
Oh
yeah. You could actually no, you can't. I just double checked your. Hold on. 1 ocean. Yeah, you only have ice. All right.
Yeah.
You succeed. You're not able.
Dice in my head.
You're not able to do anything else in this moment, but you rush towards the harpooner. Tell me how you saved them from this creature.
I think that what she does is she grabs the harpoon, which is like partially, I think, buried. Like the sea creature is like kind of crushed on top of the harpoon and the harpoonist, and is using the harpoon, which I would imagine is on like a free wheeling sort of thing, so you can pivot it around where you need to go, and leverages it down to lift the sea creature off of the harpooner, and then have Pip drag the harpooner to safety.
Pip grabs the harpooner by like the upper arm and begins in a true lizard-like fashion waggling back to pull the harpooner out to safety. You all succeed in this moment as you hear the shriek and your lynx continues to hiss, and the rest of the crew begin to surge forward and start like stabbing this creature or like pushing it off of the ship. You see through the fog created by the torrential rain the lights from your rival pirate ship from behind, and you hear the first officer yell out, "Take her away, let's go!" As the quartermaster begins to start like spinning the wheel violently to try and get you all out of here, to traverse out of the storm and away from not only the terrible creature but also the ship that is hunting you down. The harpooner in your Komodo dragon's arms, in Pip's arms, well, mouth I should say, says something, yet another odd thing, as Jacob says, "Regret sleeps behind the seafoam glass." And
I know.
and as they say that, and you all surge forward, you see it, the tiny bit of light at the end of the storm that might herald safety, that might herald you all out of this storm. And as you all search forward, clinging to that hope, we'll go take a break. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. Please get up, pet your pets. So Mr. Valiant Dorian loves them very, very much. And we'll be back with more Whole New World aboard the People's Warcry. We'll see you then. Take care, folks. Bye. Hello, folks, and welcome back to A Whole New World, episode 3, the actual play. We are playing the game name to be determined, but current placeholder, The People's Warcry, a game where you play as the crewmates aboard the ship known as the People's Warcry, as you traverse the gorgeous tropical archipelago of this world, this planet. The last we left off, our crew of the People's Warcry traversed through a storm, were besieged by a rival pirate crew that was attempting to blockade them, and then a creature from the deep, which we decided to not linger on what it is and skedaddle on out of there. Wise decision making from the folks of the People's Warcry. And where we left off, as we jump back in, all of you see that little bit of dappled sunlight, a little ray of hope, the thing that's going to herald you all out of this terrible storm, away from the pirate ship and away from whatever the hell that creature was. And as the bow and stern finally crest past that final area of darkness, you emerge back into sunlight. It's no longer, the sun is no longer at its highest at this moment. You see the orange rays begin to bathe the sky. Not quite sunset, but beginning to, as if the sky itself is gently embracing you in a blanket before night falls. And as you all finally emerge, the captain finally, all of you are wet. I feel like it's important to say you're all drenched from the storm. The captain readjusts his hat, like hops down and looks at everyone and does a looking up and down, then yells out towards the quartermaster and says, "Are all hands accounted for? Are all hands?" And quartermaster yells out, "All hands are accounted for, Captain. No need to panic." The captain breathes a sigh of relief, knowing that all hands are accounted for. Everyone is safe. Everyone has survived. All your companions, animal companions, are safe. In fact, the captain's walrus has begun kind of like waddling out and has started barking at something off of the off towards the like northwestern direction. And you hear the first officer yelling again very loudly, as if we're not all in the immediate like 15 feet radius of them, yelling out, "Captain, a structure ahead!" And you'll see it, a very old structure, definitely ruins, and you all feast your eyes on a derelict ruin of an old ocean city. You see the sails on many parts of the main city broken. The masts they were on have been snapped. You see the cloth is rotting. Most of them are just threads now. You see algae and all manner of gull perching and squawking on all these little parapets that you all imagine to have one day been pillars to herald you to a great city that now no longer exists. And it just is here, floating, what you can tell anchored low. You see the little gears of these almost wheel-like structures. So different moving cities have different mechanisms upon which they function. Some are really high tech, where they hover above the water using frequencies to keep them afloat. Some are more tactile and practical, being like either wooden stilts that move to keep the city moving, propelled forward by the wind. And some have it's an old, tried and true method of creating a moving city, where you have little wheels and gears that are propelled forward by a power probably within the city, but also by the wind. So it's both there's a sustainable way of doing it, as well as using energy to propel it where it might not have worked before. And you all feast your eyes upon these ruins, untouched by human hands in so long. What do the three of you make of it? Let's start with our cook, Dinero.
I think like it almost doesn't matter what De Niro thinks of it because of his particular position, but it is not good if any of the last encounter was anything to go by. But he's not a dissenting voice in any way whatsoever. He is just, I think, his normal demeanor is like a little affectionate and easy and calm, like stoic, a good person to be around, and that's sort of like faded away as I think a real tension sits on his brow. Like he is considering very many terrible eldritch possibilities
Very fair.
only have been foreshadowed in the song that he just sang, but he's relying on his cat obviously to see. So
Absolutely. Dear Doctor, how are you reacting to this brand new discovery?
Does it look like it has any particular blessing from any of the moons?
You know what? For fun, roll 2d6 about it.
Okay.
This is the one time you will not roll communally.
I got a 3 and a 5.
3 and a 5. I believe that's a success because you need land. I think it has a blessing from the ice moon. You see a lot of, and I think you're hi, sweet boy. Sorry, the dog is saying hi. It's very important, audience members. I think what you notice is your keen eyes are looking at the parapets. And while the parapets all around this kind of like central area, what looks like this kind of like central plaza that exists on the highest tier of this moving city with these parapets around it, you notice that they all tribute to the moons, all three of them, but they are tributes to each of those moons in an ice-like fashion. So even though one of the parapets is for the land moon, you see that there are like frost-like engravings that are around the parapet that frame it in that way. So there's clearly a favorite for sure.
I think that Henry has, respect for all three moons, obviously, as one does. What is beneficial to one person may be negative to the another, and vice versa. However, her personal moon is the land moon, and her least personal moon is the ice moon. So this feels like a bad omen to her personally.
I do love that to Henry, the vibes of this old ancient city left derelict upon the ocean. That's not the omen. It's the omen that's the moons they like. That's the omen.
That's the most important thing here.
Absolutely.
By the moons we are guided.
Sydney, how are you reacting to all this? You just shot a great beast from the deep. escaped out of the storm away from would-be rivals, and are now um, in front of this old ruin.
I think Sydney immediately is right now still recovering from the adrenaline rush of shooting this giant beast and freeing the ship from its clutches, and he barely has time to process that. He's like, "Ah, I hit it! Holy shit!" And then he turns around and he's like, "Oh, fuck. Okay, I can't shoot that. Uh, okay."
Hold fire there, hold fire there. I think we might have found our island. I mean, seems to be the location that we need to venture to. And the person who's speaking is the captain. Excuse me. And as he like stands at the stern and looks forward at the spyglass, well, I don't see any movement other than that of the gulls. Let's approach slowly. Keep our wits about us. Um, and the captain looks at all the crew members and goes, right, so we will have a team of, and he looks at the rest of the crew, you, and you. This team, we will head on to the city to explore it. The rest of you remain on the ship. And the people that the captain has pointed to is Dinero, our dear fair doctor, of course, Henry, Sydney, and the quartermaster. The rest of you remain on the ship, keep it safe, raise a flare if anything goes wrong. Let's approach slowly, and let's get the Kismet wheel and call this quest a success. As you all begin preparations, you have some time now, the three of you, to commune, talk, maybe strategize. Is there anyone you'd like to speak to, or maybe speak to amongst yourselves as the ship slowly begins to move towards the old, what would have been the old docks of this?
I do want to check in with De Niro specifically, but I'm also
Mhm.
happy to talk to both because De Niro almost got hit by the sail. I just want to check in that he is okay.
You
You're a professional.
you approach Dinero.
De Niro, you are well, I assume, after everything.
And his lack of spatial awareness at even registering you there always comes as a little bit of a surprise. But he seems well. I think he was already hanging out with the quartermaster, doing like similar assistive duties, but like just non-verbally chilling because he likes the quartermaster, and everyone on the ship knows that. Um, but he very much like gives his biceps like a good firm pat and extends himself like I yeah you that was your guy, Kip. I need to obviously give him something. De Niro would know Kip's favorite food, but me right now, I'm lacking
Meat.
in animal facts. So
Any meat will do.
any
I'm
meat will
thinking-
do.
I think they
I'm
eat deer.
thinking about this very famous oh, what are they? What are the chunky lizards called? Oh, but there's
Monochrome
one.
lizards.
Which
None-
chunky lizard?
The ones that you can
don't
keep
have
as
any
pets.
idea how little narrow.
Those-
Bearded dragons?
No, they kind of have like these really chunky like chin sort of area. Oh, I'm gonna be so annoyed that I can't remember. But there's a really famous one, that's like yellow in color. That's like big on like social media and like YouTube and stuff. Who loves to like snag on little pieces of meat. I think Pip is of a similar persuasion. specifically wants them little like cut up a little bit. I think the presentation is also important. It likes to. Pip has the same energy, I think, as a dog that wants his food to be stirred, even though there's nothing actually happening.
He just loves feeling involved.
Yeah, yeah,
De,
yeah.
De Niro never gives the animals raw meat if he could help it. So
Mhm.
of course he retroactively knowing this already, he says, I'm gonna have to give Pip some venison cuts. I'm sure for the sake of morale. Thank you.
Pip will appreciate it. I'm certain.
Pip's tongue sticks out.
Be polite.
Big eyes, very excited at the prospect.
Well then, if you are ready, okay. And then she like just resituates herself. Like, oh no, none of the words came out right. If you are well, then we can commence as soon as we arrive. Is there anything you need?
I think he leans back and appraises. Obviously, he understood everything. He seems very well, but he looks at you and says, I think what's most necessary is knowing that you're well.
I am perfectly well. Just perhaps apprehensive about our destination. It seems
Naturally.
less than prominent.
Mm-hmm. No, not many good sights, signs, or omens so far. I think being pragmatic, that anxiety seems natural, and he like does the once over because I'm sure there's some anxiety. Uh, however it's displayed, I'm not gonna tell you how that is, but
Mm.
he is holding it in how he appreciates the candor.
Sydney, you just endured all that. You see your companions are speaking. You are slowly about to dock. Is there anyone you'd like to speak to, or anything you'd like to do in preparation ahead for when you dock finally on this totally normal ruined place?
At this point, Sydney is quieter than usual, just gently patting Kowalski, trying to get off the adrenaline rush and focus on the task ahead. He's not going to talk to anybody during this boat ride. He's usually very talkative, but right now I think he just needs a minute to himself.
Absolutely. The quartermaster, I think, hovers around the three of you, and there's this like a paladin, a little aura that exudes from them, a very quiet reassurance with their presence as they begin to unfurl the gangway for you all to be able to disembark from the People's War Cry and arrive in the city. And arrive you do. You disembark. You are immediately met with how worn, creaky, and honestly hazardous state of the wooden planks of these docks. This place is old, 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 old. And you all take great precautions hopping around the harbor. I think at one point the quartermaster's foot lands a little too hard onto a plank of wood, and it immediately gives way. And I'm sure all of y'all immediately come to their defense and pull them out. But that created, I think, a greater urgency to reach the stone parts of this city, and most of the roads are paved stone. It is worn by time. um, Dust and sand has collected. You see bits of algae beginning to creep along the tiles and stonework. And as you finally arrive at the city, you see an old sign with a faded name, too old, too illegible to read. Um, but it seems to have been once a grand city. You see, it's a tiered city. There are many buildings around here that are made with delicate tile work. You see at the center of one of the main thoroughfares a fountain. Obviously, no longer working. The water is basically mud now, mud and sludge. It is in 3 tiers, and you see atop the main site up there is a large bird, a statuette of a large bird with its wings unfurled, embraced and haloed by the ice moon. And you notice it, the ice moon paraphernalia around the symbolism that bleeds to every part of the city. And the captain finally speaks up and says, right, so the rumors mentioned a hidden cache of sorts. So we're probably looking for some sort of secret trove, probably a building or underground where a cache would be stored. So we will just have to find our best way, and it'll probably have to be up there because. And then the quartermaster interjects as the captain is like trying to find the words. The quartermaster interjects helpfully, unlike the first mate, and says, I mean, the Kismet Wheel was built by aristocrats, people with affluence. It would make sense that we head in the more affluent area. And then you all look around and realize that everything after all these years is like equally derelict. Truly, time is the arbiter of equality to all. And the quartermaster nods themselves. It might be a tad difficult to find the affluent area, but I'm assuming the higher we go, the logic might allow that the more important members of society or the more rich and wealthy would live higher. Perhaps that's where we should begin our search. What do the rest of you think?
I mean, De Niro will listen to anything Devin says, but that's also that anyone said so far. So he's on board. He gives like he raises a fist up.
Yeah, Henry will nod in approval. As long as we stay together, I see no qualms with that.
Oh yeah, I do not think, and the captain speaks, I don't think any of us should split up at any point. These are old ruins. We do not know what is broken, what parts of the floor still works or stable. It's best that we all stay together and safe. His eyes linger over you, Sydney, and although the captain is young, the captain is insightful, and his eyes linger on you for a moment. How is Sydney reacting to all this, and what are their thoughts? His thoughts entering this old city.
Sydney is excited when he looks over the captain and nods as well. He's like, yeah, let's fucking go. Let's do this. I am here to help in whatever way is needed. He's got his groove back after the little bit of just peace and quiet he needed, and he's absently still rubbing Kowalski's head, the top of Kowalski's head, and he's like,
Wonderful.
yeah, whatever we need. You need me to blow up an entrance? We got that. You need me to stand back and protect some stuff? We got that. You need me to provide structural reinforcements? I don't really know how to do that, but I got it. We are here, and it's gonna happen. Oh, I may have missed this while I was lost in thought. Where's the other ship?
That is a very good question. Perhaps still stuck in the storm, or then the quartermaster Devon pipes up, or perhaps our old friend that greeted us has also similarly greeted them.
Well, I hope they're not dead because then I don't get to blow them up. But that's okay.
Well, and then you hear the captain is like, for your sake, I hope so. But either way, the good thing about this area is if we head higher, we'll be able to see further out, and should there be problems, I'm sure our first officer will let us know. But with that, folks, let's march. And for this, folks, I would like to ask you all how are you all aiding in the navigation of this place? And here's where things can get a little fun. And I would like to invite you all to do the same. Whatever you say about this place is true. Um, in terms of like world building and things like that. So there's some particular aspect of the city that you think would exist on a ocean moving city. Feel free to tap into that creativity, and then we'll see how the dice favor you. So, how are the three of you contributing to the search of this cache for the Kismet Wheel?
So I believe that since it is an ancient city and
Yes.
inspired by all of the movies and stuff that I have seen as Steve, not as Sydney,
Yes.
there is most likely a puzzle, right? Something where you have to put some pieces in place, some things have to be
Interesting.
moved
Okay.
together, right? And there is some sort of vague, absolutely vague as fuck 4-line poem that, or like prose that explains what the puzzle is, and none of us get to understand what it is anyway, but we still bumble through and we figure it out. And I think it's some sort of ancient, since this is a floating city again, it's some sort of ancient physics at play, where you have to angle like these 4 things perfectly in place with some sort of sunlight reflective shadows, and make sure that the sun is pointed at this specific point at the exact right time and some other thing. And I think so that's like one of the elements to accessing the entrance of the city.
Yeah, I love that. And since that taps into one of your knacks, which is physics in motion,
I
I'm
totally
gonna
didn't
give you
use that.
I'm going to give you your automatic success on that. Well, how this manifests with your automatic success is that I think you stumble onto it. In true Sydney fashion, you arrive on one of the higher plazas. So for the other two, you arrive at the plaza where the parapets are solidly crafted upon, where they've been cemented into the ground. And on like below the parapets are this very interesting tile work. Oh, hello, baby. Hello, friend. This little tile work. And I think you stumble onto this thing by stepping on a tile and you hear as it lowers like a button. And you realize that there's some really cool things in terms of the tile work. It's the sun, it's the moons. And not only the moons, but also different animals that are surrounding it. So it almost looks like you have to rejig them together. You have to connect them again, reshuffle these tiles into the correct order. And that's what you find, and that piques the Captain's interest as they lower down, as he lowers down and looks at the stonework, and says, "These rocks are fascinating, being fashioned into these tiles." And then the quartermaster goes, "Oh yes, right. It seems that we have to work out the tiles. The other two, what are you doing to help with the navigation?"
That actually kind of plays in nicely to what I was thinking, which is that the doctor is sort of channeling the like her different understanding of how the world works, which I think manifests in a lot of like reading into omens from the moons, and that's just like there's like this subtle layer of like superstition, I suppose, to her that's like buried underneath all the formality. But in this place, especially having already decided this is a bad omen to be here, it's, I think, coming out a little bit more. And so while, no, Steve is your real name. Sydney, jeez.
Sydney, yeah.
Sydney. I'm like, it's also an S name. So while Sydney is like coming across all of the like the puzzles that just live in ruins, it's just part of ruins, I think, and is figuring those out. Henry is finding the ways that like how like almost the decorations seem to channel people through the city in a certain direction. You know how like Disneyland like has things set up to sort of funnel people in specific ways and to like just spark with your psychology in a weird way to be like, oh yeah, I want popcorn now kind of thing. Same vibe, but city, ruin city.
Yeah.
And so she's like picking up on that to find the direction we need to go.
Very fun. Go ahead. We'll roll the 2d6, but go ahead and roll it ahead if you'd like.
Okay.
Tell me, Dinero, what are you doing to help navigate?
I think what makes the most sense, given that this is not their forte, is actually probably going into an anecdote, like an old family anecdote, not necessarily about this island in particular, but an attempt of, I think, the Sinbad variety of another vessel trying to get to the end of the world, so to speak, and this being a place that they as a crew decided not to stop at, but some things in the anecdote, I think, that reveal truths about this place is that even with the ruins being on water, there are like enough tidal fluctuations to indicate that the whole city is on an incline despite being on water.
All right.
So it is possible the further we go, because we are not at the end of the world, obviously, we're in the world, the further that we go, the more derelict things might become. So obviously we don't have to search any further. But also, when passing at night as the moon's like dipped under the horizon, there were sightings of, primarily again a superstitious variety of ghosts in the ruins of the living spaces. But it is told with a secondhand degree of confidence, as someone who has maybe heard this from their dad enough times to have it memorized.
I love that. Go ahead and roll 2d6 about it to see what other additional information I will give you to that lore and flavor that you've given me.
Okay.
Alrighty, both of y'all, what are your roles?
I got a 5 and a 1, which is, I think, land and ice.
It's land and ice. All right.
Oh, no, land and ocean. Sorry, land and ocean.
Land and ocean. Land and ocean. What about you, Dinero?
I got a 4 and a 2, which I think is
Ocean
land,
and
ocean and ice. Yes.
ocean and ice. Well, the good news is y'all have the ingredients to your success. For each of you. Would either of you want to use an ability for your creature companions?
Mhm.
I love that she's looking at you as if she's your little lynx and is also looking at you.
If you want to use an ability,
I don't, so feel free to if
Okay.
you want to.
I'll have her bless my dice if she stays next time. I don't think. Oh well, also land and ocean and
Maybe.
ice. Technically, I could, but I will. I will hold off for now as well,
Fair.
unless
You
I do like the idea of using a disappearance as like a save this for later, reappear when necessary. De Niro does
Gotcha.
not control.
fair,
It's
fair,
cheese
fair.
good, so
No worries. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. So how this manifests for you is so you both succeed. But here's the very interesting thing about everything that you've just said. There is something very off about this place, and I think what comes up as you are telling the story is you're realizing, Dinero, that yes, the story involves this island in some tangential way. It also surrounds a figure. And I think as you're telling the story about this figure, the quartermaster pipes up and says, "Oh, yeah, this person also was the financier of the crafting of the Kismet Wheel." And as you are telling the story about the world and how it functions, finding things at the end of the world, ghosts lingering in old places, I think there's a story about the Kismet Wheel and its old wielder that speaks to when the Kismet Wheel was created, it was meant to be built into this perfect navigational thing. And I think it marries into your narrative of being at the end of the world as it's meant for you to find a path past the end of the world. Something beyond even what this planet is known, or the bounds beyond it. That was what the Kismet Wheel was meant to do. And this person, a woman named Seraphine, who financed the crafting of the Kismet Wheel, she was dedicated, devoted, obsessed with it. And there are rumors and stories about the lengths she would go to protect it. And I think the scary stories of like the ghosts that linger talks about the souls of those who would have tried to have taken this item away for her suffered a terrible fate. And I think that also marries very well with our doctor's assessment of the vibes of this place. As you all solve the puzzle, your keen eyes fixate on this thing of like this whole puzzle, this whole story, this space that's being created here is so layered in superstition. And you're realizing it's not just you. This place is layered with superstition. You see little tiles indicating wards of protection. You see little tile work and stonework, um, basically indicating, because language, like symbols, can be universal even if language isn't. Symbols that clearly indicate keep out, turn away. The moons do not shine upon you here.
This bodes poorly.
Oh, come on, Auntie, don't worry. Like, I understand that this is incredibly unnerving, but we're all here. We're all together. And, this isn't our first foray against things of a creepy variety. I imagine that y'all have had your run-ins with ghost ships before. It seems like something the People's Warcry would have experienced. We will, if it's too dangerous, we will turn back. But we're so close. So close to the end of this quest. I must see it through.
You assume there will be a point in which we can return, and that we have not already crossed the point of no return.
He takes your words and regards them very seriously. But I can't turn back now either. I've come so far.
Tread with care, nephew.
All right, friends. And as you hear the last creak in place, I'd like to think, Sydney, you are the last person to bring the final tile. You and your burly arms slide it right back into place as you place the head of a walrus back onto its body in this tile stonework. And everything clunks into place. And you feel the reverberating in the earth as gears move, and one of the statuettes that's on this plaza slides to the right, revealing staircase for you all to embark on. I assume you all tread carefully because the vibes of this place are absolutely rancid. Maybe except for Sydney. I won't speak for you, Sydney, because you're clearly very, very jived about this.
Yeah. Holy shit! I did it. It works. Okay.
Well done.
Yeah, Captain. Do you mind if I take the lead? Just to walk in, I think it'll be really cool. I promise I won't touch anything, and I won't blow anything up. Okay, unless you tell me to. But
Okay. Yes, sure. Just be careful. It's dark down there, so yeah. Take point.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think Sydney reaches into his backpack, pulls out a couple of torches. Because he's always fucking prepared for this shit, and he's handing them out to everyone. He's lights his own up, waves it, raises it above his head, and waves it for the second. He's like, "Oh shit, we should probably shouldn't signal the other pirates. I mean, I'm gonna go in, and if you hear a scream, don't worry, I'll be okay. It's probably just excitement, nothing else." Okay. Yeah, and
He gets a rare smile from Henry.
I love this. You take point. You traverse down the stairs, all of you together, down the staircase into darkness. As you are light these torches, you are illuminated. Fun fact, this isn't a large dungeon. There aren't a lot of paths or corridors. You find one very simple open entryway carved out of gorgeous stonework. Clearly a lot of care has been taken to craft this place. It's old and musty. You smell it in the air. And as you enter into this place, you see things glitter in the light of your torches. Around you, you see tile work that's accented with bits of sea glass. frosted and beautiful. And you see chests, you see rotted scrolls, gorgeous furniture that was once grand and beautiful and wonderful, rotting, filled with holes, water damaged. And as you approach and you look at all of this, you see a little pedestal, almost like a shrine to the ice moon. And you see there's something covered by what looks like a bit of velvet cloth that seems to still hold some integrity to this day. And behind it, another accent of seafoam glass. What do you all do?
I
You
think.
mentioning seafoam
Oh, go
glass
ahead.
is so funny.
Oh yeah, don't worry about it.
Thank you, Ferris. I was just thinking of James, our very eccentric harpooner. And honestly, De Niro's not coming in with so much of an air of anxiety to like keep morale up, but he is looking to James now to see how he's acting.
James isn't here, was not part of the
James-
crew to James is with the first officer
Yeah.
on the ship.
Mm.
But I will say that the word James's words do echo in the minds of those who wish for it to echo in.
Okay. Yay. Magic. His specific saying. I think De Niro wanted to reveal a possible clue because that would lend into the type of superstition that's grounded into this world as it is. But right now, like he is definitely using his links to observe more of the background before getting to the foreground. But if Sydney tries to, of course, barrel forward, he's kind of like coiled and tense, like very much prepared for this reality because it's been a reality many times before, most likely.
You before we resolve the things with the animals, Sydney and Henry, what are you both doing?
Sorry, did you speak?
Oh no.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I think that Henry will put a hand on. Geez, I'm remembering everyone's names right until I go to say it. De Niro. And we'll say that if anyone, when time comes to touch that thing, I think it should be you because the ice moon has blessed you.
This has probably been the first time he has maybe considered himself maybe more central to the role. So he's surprised, but he nods and says again, like appraising, smiling even. Okay. Yeah. If we even got this far, we can do this.
Sydney, what would you like to do?
I have no idea. I think I would like to blow shit up, but I will not. I will not do that unless absolutely necessary. So for now, I will just sit and watch and play with my explosives.
All right. As you do.
because I am not very good at solving puzzles. So um, the, even though that was a fluke, but
Mhm.
yeah.
Absolutely. As you all prepare, get ready. This is not your first rodeo into an area that's a little weird, that's a little derelict. This is not your first time in ruins. So I think you are all practiced hands in being careful and ensuring that all of you have your hand on your weapon or eyes on the exit, things like that, or eyes in the room to make sure that everything's working well. And Devin walks up to you, De Niro, and looks you up and down and says, "All right, whenever you're ready, I'll stand at your side."
Oh, Daenerys so ready.
Yeah.
As if he couldn't be more ready by not even the right person giving reassurance, but perhaps his favored, uh, for many reasons that it would be reductive to say gay reasons, but
You're
he
allowed to be
admires you
gay
very
for
much.
Devin.
All
You're still allowed to
right.
be gay for Devin. Um,
Yeah.
I think it is also very limpress reasons as to why Devin has. Oh, that flash of a shadow was scary.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
I
Devin
don't know what
steps
that
out. I
was.
think for out of a specialized concern. I think everyone in the room can feel the like gay limpress energy that's happening between the two of them as they like step forward, and offer to like basically watch your back as you um are about to lift the velvet.
Mm.
As you do lift the velvet, you see it. You see the Kismet wheel built, not unlike a chakra wheel. It has these spokes on all edges. It almost looks like a nine-pointed star. It is beautifully, gorgeously designed, um, polished like the first day it was ever created, protected and loved. You see it here, it glimmers. And you see underneath, within the kind of like walls of the spokes, you see these little runic elements that are accented with little gems. And then Devon, who's the quartermaster, who is tasked with ensuring that the ship has whatever it needs, leans forward and says, "That's a map. That's a compass and a map."
Mm.
Um, as they say that, all of you in this world are connected to every living being within it, especially to your companions. And fear takes root within the recesses of your minds. You feel it reverberate through your bones as the captain's walrus starts yelling out of anxiety. You hear the lynx start hissing. You hear very unlike Kowalski, screeches and honks coming out of them. And of course, Pip tightens and coils around your torso, the tail, as if holding you for stability. As behind the seafoam glass, facing the pedestal, you all see a face. The face of a woman, skeletal and full of regret, as she reaches out, shattering through the glass, and grabs the other side of the Kismet ring. We are about to jump into an encounter as rising from all the seafoam glass are these other apparitions of these entities, and the door behind you as we jump right into this, my wonderful crew of the People's Warcry, what are you doing?
Sydney to go first.
Is panic allowed?
Panic. It's a free action to panic.
Reaction to panic. Okay.
I will say, the doctor does have a very interesting desperate action. Called.
Oh, that's right.
You do, yeah. You want to read it out?
It's called I Know What I'm Doing, and when you take charge of something, they will trust you. Sorry, floating fur.
Valid.
Just happens a lot. I think that, yeah, I think I will do the desperate action, actually. And what that looks like is Henry stepping forward, because the Seraphine and friends are coming through the sea glass, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's Henry stepping up, giving the wheel, who is gripped by Seraphine in one hand and Frack.
Seraphine in one hand and Dinero on the other.
De Niro. I wanted to say Devin. I'm like, no.
Devin is not touching it.
And give the wheel like a sharp turn from like a third angle, so to try to get Seraphine off and lead the group towards the opening that Seraphine just made. I assume this is Seraphine.
I think it's a fair.
I don't remember if you actually said that or if you said it was just a woman.
It's a fair assumption. I will canonically confirm. This is Seraphine. She's 100% pulling a Captain Nathaniel Flint from Treasure Planet. So so this is what we're playing with here. Yeah,
love it.
You take your desperate action, and you take charge in directing all of this. What is your first? So like, how are you taking charge of this situation with all these crew members here? Do you tell them to do something?
Yes. Through the new opening. Let's go. Don't hesitate. Let's go. No flinching. Just keep walking.
New opening. I think that's a great opportunity for me to pan over to Sydney. Sydney, what are you doing?
Captain, is now the time I blow shit up?
Absolutely, you can blow shit up.
Okay, great. Okay, cool. I've been waiting for this moment ever since we left Doc. And he reaches into his backpack, pulls out 2 explosives, and he's gonna use his teeth to remove the I don't know what explosives we have here. I'm assuming they're grenades, and he's just gonna rip open the keys or like the things to them. Yeah, and then just toss them into the thing. I forgot what it was called.
All right. I think so. You have a few options. You could literally make a new entrance somewhere, and the doctor is giving you the power to do so. So yeah, go ahead, roll me 2d6 about it. As we pan over to Dinero. Dinero, there's a really scary ghost lady on the other side of this Kismet wheel. How would you like to deal with her?
We are both holding the wheel currently.
Yep.
The ring.
Yeah, one on either end.
I think in this weird position in which he knows innately he's not trained in 2-armed or 1-armed combat to the degree that he is able to let go of this wheel and feel like they'll be able to make it. So he holds on. I actually have a question about the game text, which might inform if I do a desperate action or not.
Sure.
It says when rolling the dice section, when a crew member utilizes a desperate action, they add 2 dice to the empty pool. I have no idea what that means.
So typically, how this is supposed to function, this is something that I'm gonna have to review with my co-designer, in terms of the dice. One of the things that so the way this is supposed to function is that as all of you roll and take your results and such like that, when the pool is emptied, one player can choose to use a desperate action to add 2d6 into the pool. So it's meant to be this kind of like Hail Mary in a situation where the dice have been very, very mean to all of you, or you have to use all the abilities to do something. But what I'm allowing to happen because of a really rule of cool GM, because of all the stuff earlier, is that if you want to use a desperate action without dealing with the pool at all, I'll let you do so. You just are foregoing the ability to contribute to the pool in the first place and then add to it, potentially using your desperate action.
Hmm.
But you do get your A-OK thing because it is Song of the Old World and it is a new scene, so you will have access to your desperate action.
That's correct. I wish I had like more that wouldn't just be immediately like sidelines by this place blowing up at the second. I
Mhm.
I feel like that would add a lot. Uh, that who doesn't like a nice explosion? Sometimes that's just like the necessary way to push a scene. Um, so
Yeah, I
I'm willing
mean,
to
a
just
song from
roll.
the old world doesn't necessarily have to be because it is harnessing your knowledge of the old ways into a song. Um, and everyone who can hear can learn something new about the situation. You could direct this. I will say, if you are interested, you could direct this at Seraphine.
Hmm. Which is obviously the most narratively intriguing choice to do. I just need to consider the
Here,
consequences of what a song like that might be. I'm willing to accept
sure
some of
thing.
that.
Sure thing. So how about this? Tell me, what is it about Seraphine? What truth about Seraphine are you interested in knowing, and we'll roll 2d6 about it.
Sick, sick. This feels like an extremely important question to hone in on.
Yeah, and it can
Um,
be it feel don't worry about it needing to be like super eloquent or direct. Just whatever comes to mind and we can like formulate a question out of it.
sure. I will say, who has she lost?
Go ahead and roll 2d6 about it.
Okay, okay. So I got a 3 and a 1. So that is ocean and ice.
Yes, you have an ice, you have a success. You look into the eyes, what once were her eyes of Seraphine. Now they are hollowed pits with a little glow within them. And you see it even in this undead frame. Grief. A heartbreaking grief, the one that shatters cities. And you see on the hand that's gripping the other side of the wheel a wedding ring. And I think you see it. You see all the stories are finally piecing together in your mind about Seraphine, the one who created the Kismet wheel. It was always framed as this move of ambition. It was seen as an ambitious move to put the city on the map, to show the prowess of the city in mastering the elements of this world. Almost like a tale of hubris, a tale of arrogance. And then you realize it's not. Realize this is a tale of sorrow. It is a tale of grief, and it is a tale of a woman who has lost everyone she deemed her world, and thought the only way past it was to find the place beyond. Maybe where they would be. But regret is hidden behind the seafoam glass. And here is it. Here it is, manifest before you. What do you do with your Song of the Old World?
I think I will lean into a knack of probably a blending of stories and good advice, as
Okay.
I think stories and the way that De Niro transmits them, like not non-traditionally, not necessarily verbally either, is a very visceral experience for him. It is probably something that comes out in an analog to stimming for a visual reference in any case. So he remembers this. He thinks about, I think, the reason his dad had passed this region prior. And I think, still gripping the wheel, almost imperceptibly shakes his head and said, "If my dad could go to the end of the world to find his love, you don't need to stay here." And there is no more like rigid resistance. He is, I think, letting some slack on his grip as he says that, to give her a little bit more choice in the matter.
She contemplates your choice. And before we resolve what happens there,
Explosion.
Sydney, go ahead. What did you roll with your 2d6 to explode about it?
So I rolled a 2 and a 4, which is ice and ocean, which are not my things at all.
And not
So I
your dice.
Yeah.
Yes, but
So
you do have a
I
big
was
success in there.
I was actually thinking if I could instead take it as a failure based on De Niro's reaction, where he's about to throw the grenades and he sees what De Niro is doing, and in a moment of growth, Sydney's like, okay, maybe just this once we resolve things by talking and not exploding. And he actually stops before he removes the pin from the grenades.
I am going to rule right now that you are offering a comfort to someone. So you're going to add a die to the pool.
Oh, let's go.
So I'm going to ask for you to roll that die into the pool. And I will assign a number for the success. Go ahead.
It's a 2.
Well, as you roll a 2, this woman fixates on you. Roll the ocean moon here. We're playing with a lot of flavor, with a lot of homebrew rules here. Audience, it's my game. I can do it. I'm a co-designer on this.
Homebrew if you're the designer.
I guess that's true. It's just part of the lore now.
It's just rules. It's just
rules
unwritten
now.
rules.
Yeah.
Fresh playtest.
You rolled the ocean moon, the moon that governs traversal, movement. And she moves. Her own grip slackens from the Kismet wheel as she stares at the mercy afforded by everything here, not trespassers to a holy relic not grave robbers here to give her one more final insult in her regrets. No. Mission. And you see it in her eyes, and in slow motion, you see this skeletal woman have skin. Slowly, you see the visage of a beautiful brown woman with dark black hair, deep dark eyes. She has a beauty spot right by her lip. She wears this beautiful dress of red. And you see her step back. And all these spirits that are haunting the sides coalesce into little wisps and begin to fade. And you see Seraphine turn around as she traverses to the next world. As she moves to the next world. And as she leaves, she looks back one more time on all of you. And once more fixates on the crew here. And she says, only 2 words. Cherish this. And vanishes. As she leaves, you are immediately bathed in light. And energy ignites the old torches in this room. And the door behind you begins to recede upwards into the stone. You have your prize. And you have your way out. And your captain, gripping his hat, lowers it to his chest and says, poor woman. That can't have been easy. Well, you heard the woman. You heard the lady. We'll cherish this. And I think we will merrily make our way back. And I think his eyes linger once more on the Kismet wheel. And maybe we don't sell this. Maybe it's a bit too precious for that. May it stay on the people's war cry as a lesson. A reminder, maybe, of what really matters. What do you all do as you begin traversing out of this place? What final thoughts hold you as we wrap up?
I think Henry is going to take a piece of sea glass on the way out and just pop it in the captain's pocket.
The captain does not notice. He is busy trying to keep spirits up. We all just had a weird run-in with some ghosts, and is ensuring that morale is up and checking in that everyone is nice and safe because the glass had shattered.
Yeah,
and you...
it's a little prize for later. And then we'll also give De Niro a little pat on the shoulder. / De Niro was closest to the blast. Is De Niro injured?
No. Unless you would like to be injured, I won't tell you what you wanted. Listen, one of you just said I want to fail, so I don't know. Like, that was a brilliant move that I adored. I'm just saying.
For as much as we want to succeed, I like the idea of like our skin being toughened due to this environment, but like very superficial, like cuts from glass explosion. I feel like that's not just logical, but it would create like a sort of outward circular effect of just shallow cuts. Some of them not even bleeding. It is like that is how tough his skin is, and even him, I'll like thread it to mine. Even him holding the wheel now, it is very clear that like his hands, they're always clean, but they're like calloused, and he is somewhat embarrassed to be holding this after what she just said about keeping 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 this thing well cared for. So he gives the wheel to the captain and is like, check out the stones on that. And then
Oh, I did notice it from being behind you. Fascinating cuts. Just admiring it all the way back as y'all are journeying.
easiest morale boost of my life.
The captain is an easy man to please.
Exactly. And then he for sure goes back to Henry and says, well, I'm not fully sure if you're the type of doctor that can see that we're well in the future, but that was almost exactly as you said. A real gold star in preventative care, you. And then punches your shoulder.
Gold star preventative care.
You also get a rare Henry smile. And she touches like next to one of the cuts and says, I'll fix it on the ship. And then also goes and gives Sydney a pat on the shoulder and says, well done for your lack of explosions.
Oh, thank you. It's rare praise from the doctor is rare, and so Sydney is the last one to leave the thing, and he as he reaches the foot of the stairs, he pauses for a second, and he's gonna reach into his pocket, and then double back and run back to the spot where they found the wheel. He's gonna reach into his pocket, pull out an old rusty knife, which is it looks like it's like 20, 30 years old, and it's probably longer, and there's a small engraving on it, which it's from Sydney's dad, and he puts the knife on the spot where the wheel was, and he just looks at it and he's like, I'll see you in the next life, Dad. And he runs back to the rest of the crew, doing his best to not let the tears fall as he quickly just rushes back, fixes his hair. And he's like, right, yeah, so what are we blowing up next?
And the quartermaster Devon says, well, probably those pirates, they don't leave us alone when we try to exit. And Devon gives you one final flash of a smile, Dinero. And I think in a truly gay way, if you're okay with it, brushes their knuckles against yours
Yes.
as you walk past. A grand celebration awaits you all in the People's War Cry. A fantastic dinner. The animals are pleased and happy and hopping about. Everyone is celebrating their newfound success of this Kismet wheel. The captain has decided to adorn the entrance to the captain's hold with the Kismet wheel, not to be used, but to serve as a reminder, as he had said, of what's truly important. All of you. And with that final image of you all celebrating, smiling, and laughing, up in the sky, clouds form. A beautiful woman with long curly hair wraps her arms around a short-haired woman. Their eyes glisten in the starlight. And with that, thank you all so much for joining us on the third episode of A Whole New World, the actual playing this to be fully titled game. But for now, the People's War Cry. I hope you all enjoyed this game and this first ever playtest. With that, let's go around and introduce everyone. We'll do it backwards this time. Amir, please go on ahead and introduce yourself.
All right. I don't know how to use the word outroduce. So good on you for nailing it.
I slip on it all the time, as I did twice just now, but hopefully y'all didn't pick that up.
But thank you so much. My name's Neda and Amir. Neda or Amir, both is cool, and interchangeable is also cool. And they, them, and I guess, yeah, I basically played the son of Sinbad from the animated movie, the DreamWorks movie from 20 years ago.
Mhm.
If you've seen that movie, it does inspire Treasure Planet. You know,
It does.
I see it as extremely underrated.
It is. It is.
Because it ages in a very similar way. And I played De Niro. Pronouns indeterminate, all that. What am I even doing? Technically, like, what's happening during like this recording period is a premiere of another friend's show of Voices in the Woods, which is a like it is a hack of the solo game of Void 2068 AM, I believe, where they bring in like guests to a radio show in a very effed up parody of 70s, 80s suburban America. I say suburban reductively, but it is very, I would say, politically relevant. A lot of interesting emergent narratives come from it. It's one of my favorite projects of the year. If you're into like praxis in your content, I'd recommend that a lot. It premieres. The last episode premieres on 9/11. I'll say for the future, and I'm all of my projects are in development. I'm gonna publish stuff next year. You can just follow me on Twitter. I am disabled, so like I need to keep saying that for my own benefit, so I remember. Trans_father. I'm a father of a dog. It's that's pretty much it, I think. And I think if it was Ferris next, I will pass it to Ferris.
Sure, it can be Ferris's turn. Go ahead.
You can do whatever you want. All right.
Yeah, hello, or goodbye, I guess. I'm Ferris. I use she, her pronouns. I have been Dr. Henry this game, which was delightful and wonderful. Thank you, Val, for the whole new world, whole experience, and everyone else who went into making this exist. Delight to be a part of. You can find me at Dragon Cat Paw on Twitter or with Goblets and Gays, which is where I usually am heard and very rarely but occasionally seen. Oh, and also I write games. Haven't put one out in a hot minute, but there's one coming, probably at least by the end of September, because I joined a game jam, so now I'm legally obligated. Not really, but you know what I mean. Morally obligated, I'm gonna do it. I committed. I committed to the thing. Anyway, so look out for new games at eFirstGames.itch.io. And take it away, Steve.
Hello, hi again. I am Steve, also known as Sassy Pants. I'm a Twitch streamer, YouTuber, ttrpg producer, performer. I do so many things. There is no time to breathe. But I played Sydney, a character who I created while we were talking, and somehow one of the favorite characters I've played in a very long time. I usually just play like wisecracking, snarky dudes who, or like not dudes, but like people who. So this was interesting fun to play like a buff swole Chad, basically. You can find me on Twitch under SassyPants1996. That's my Twitch thing. I stream a bunch of shit. Right now, Assassin's Creed, Fortnite, all of those good things. But also on Passless Tables, which is my baby at this point. I've been doing it for fuck, it's been so long, but I generally have had so much fun running games and producing and learning so much stuff about the TTRPG space. That is so cool. We are currently casting for our big charity event, which is September 27th to 29th. So if you are free during that weekend and would like to be in a game, links will be on Passes Tables thing there, but I will share it other places too if you would like to. Will be open till the 18th, 19th, most likely, at least a week, because I need 2 weeks to prep and stuff after that. And we are supporting Starlight Children's Foundation, which is the first charity that we supported back in September last year. And this also celebrates it's like 2 years of me being in the TTRPG space, which is not a lot, but I feel like I've done way too much, and I'm very proud of everything we've accomplished since then. Yeah, so that's basically all of it. Thank you for this. I had a lot of fun. This was a fantastic game, and always great to play with new people. And yeah, that's me.
It has been my honor and pleasure GMing for the three of you. Thank you so much for being fantastic players. Thank you so much for weaving this story with me. Thank you everyone for joining in on a whole new world. This project has been a really, really fun venture. It's been a great challenge to build a world in less than 3 hours, build a game in less than 3 hours, and run a game immediately after that. It's been such a joy to do together. And I couldn't ask for a better table to do it with. So thank you all for the privilege of letting me do this for you all. But in terms of introducing myself, hi, I'm Valiant Dorian. I use he/him/his pronouns. You can find me all around the internet at Valiant Dorian or at Otso SpiritBear. Please enjoy that lovely treasure hunt to say you on. I'm a TTRPG actual play performer. I am a talk show host, content creator, and wearer of many hats, it seems. I also GM and design games as well. So you can go check out my socials for all of that. I'm currently working on my first ever ambitious TTRPG called The Beast Within. It is an 80s and 90s grunge fighting game where you play as werebeasts. So monster fuckers and furries, I made this for you. If you're not a furry, have you considered being one and getting a persona? Play my game. Play my game. Quick start guide is currently available. Go ahead and check that out. I'm also the main cast member for award-winning tabletop AP called Transmedia RPG, where I play Sayir, the misbeloved twin brother of the Chosen One. We are currently on Arc hiatus, but we are in pre-production, and Arc 3 will be premiering soon, which means it's a great time to go and catch up on the Chaos Protocol so that you are ready for when we premiere. I also have my talk show, Dicey Badger, every Monday evening over here at around 7 p.m. ET. And with that, thank you all so much for enjoying a whole new world. Keep your eye out. Maybe we'll do this again. Another series of a whole new world where we make a new world, a new system, and run a game in it with amazing voices within the community. And with that, thank you all so much. Take care, everybody. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye.